Hello, my name is C from Curio & Co. Today I'm going to be touching a little bit on the fear of the blank page. Yes, it is a bit of a scary thing for a lot of creatives, but don't worry about it. There are ways around it. We can find some solutions for you so that you can get back onto that white sheet of paper and get creative with it. A few notes before I dive into the subject for today. The ASMR track for this video will soon be available on the British English track. That will be available as soon as the option becomes available for me to upload it. I should also mention that the drawings in this video are designs that I make for our studio. And as I touch on the subject of the day, you're going to be able to see part of my drawing process and how I go about creating an image, in this case, just a simple pencil drawing. Back to the blank page. So let's say you are absolutely paralyzed because you're looking at this horrible, dangerous white page that you have in front of you. Maybe it's because the paper is a watercolor, expensive white sheet of paper that is staring at you, or perhaps is because you do not know what type of design that you want to do on this white sheet. Fortunately, there are ways around it. The short answer, if you want to jump to the end of the video, is simply just put a mark on the side of the margin of the paper, and no longer will that page be a pristine piece of white. All of a sudden, then this stress will be lifted off of your shoulders, and you can make a second mark because the page is already, quote unquote, ruined, and you can only make it better. Now let's dive in a little bit more into details and see if we can come up with a better solution rather than just a short solution. The first thing that I would suggest is understand your expectations. If you are drawing to have fun, you're going to be a lot better off than drawing with the intent of making an art piece. High expectations are a mood killer. The creative process needs a lot of little bits of pieces that need to come together and work together to be able to function. So don't load yourself with all these expectations for each one of the drawings that you're going to be making. It's just way too much to carry. Just sit down and enjoy what you're doing and let the process dictate what's going to come out. Another thing that you can do to combat this fear of the blank page is simply do not buy expensive art supplies, especially if you're not familiar with the tools that you just purchased or the material that you just purchased. That means that you're going to have to tackle now two things. One, the fear of the white page, because you might be not as skilled as an artist in terms of combating that fear, as well as trying to figure out how to use a new brush, a new type of paint. You might be concerned about wasting 300 euros worth of paper that you just bought a stack of. It's just not worth it. Tackle one problem at a time, and you're going to be a lot better off. Simply buy something that is within your comfort zone so that you feel comfortable trying things out. The stress will be removed on that situation. You're going to find yourself looking at a sheet of paper, put a little bit of a mark on the right hand side. So now the page is no longer a pristine piece of white staring at you, and you're going to feel a lot more comfortable now tackling the blank sheet. Once that you get familiar with the medium that you're working with, it's going to be a lot easier for you to tackle the blank page. You're going to be a lot more confident with the marks that you're making, familiar with the tools, and it's going to be a lot smoother of a transition in tackling the second concern that you might have in the creative process. A lot of the times, getting started is a huge hurdle. That's why artists usually warm up before they sit down and they start, quote unquote, their first drawing. Gesture drawings on newsprint and charcoal, that's a perfect example of warming up. You get your shoulder moving, you get the energy flow, you start getting focused on what the task is for the day. You're getting into the zone of the task at hand. Take advantage of it. Do not expect to sit down on the first drawing and try to create a masterpiece. It's just not going to work that way. There might be a chance, 1 in a million, let's say maybe 1 in 1,000 if you're lucky, that you sit down at the desk or on a drawing horse and all of a sudden, boom, that comes out, that wonderful piece of art. Great, enjoy it, but it's not the standard way that the drawing would come out. So just enjoy it and move on to the next. Always warm up. Do I doodle on a sheet of scrap paper, on some post-it notes? Just get the ideas flowing, get used to moving that hand again. It's a matter of 10 to 15 minutes to get the focus going. Once that you're into it, then it'll carry you over for the next hours that you're going to be working. Now, do not expect to sit down and do 30 minutes of drawing and get the drawings that you're hoping to get out of it, because that is a very, very, very short drawing session. Keep in mind that if you're going to sit down and do something, it will take you between 3 to 4 hours to get something out of the process. Unfortunately, each line takes time, and if you're not familiar with the process, you're going to have to draw that line multiple times to get that drawing the way you want it. Be patient. Know that you're committing X amount of time that you are allocating to yourself for that day, and you're going to be creating something that you're going to be able to hold at the end of the day. A useful thing to remember is that the first mark that you put on a sheet of paper, it's not important. It can simply be element in the background. It can be a line on the side of the page. After all, if the page is going to get framed and it's your masterpiece, it's not going to be seen. So it doesn't matter that first line that you put down that is going to say that the page is no longer a scary piece of blank white paper staring at you. The first line doesn't have to be the subject. And also, the first line is not the final drawing. It's a mark on the side and it's dismissible. You can also simply make a mark and erase it. There's nothing wrong with that. A piece of paper with a drawing on it, it's the history that the drawing has gone through. The process of creating that drawing is what injects life into it, because you were searching for something, and as you were searching, you are recording the process of creating, and that's why the drawing is so interesting, because the viewer looking back at the drawing that you made is able to reconstruct your journey and then seeing where you arrived at the end. A line on the side of the paper, it can also be used as a way to test the tool that you're using. I often do that just to make sure that I'm holding the pencil at the right angle, so that the flat area of the pencil is properly touching the surface of the page. It creates a mark on the page. It has intent because I'm testing the pencil. And at the same time, it removes this blank sheet of paper that is staring at me. Don't forget that the page on which you're drawing on has no feelings. So if you're worried about making a bad drawing, the only person that you are worried about feeling bad is you. That sheet of paper is not worried about you making a bad drawing on it. That sheet of paper is going to be happy that you're actually taking the time to use it, because otherwise it's going to be recycled. Take advantage of it. You already paid for the paper. You might as well take advantage of it. I mean, it's a write-off, right? The money has been spent. It goes in the tax documentation as a deductible because you're an artist, so it goes into the deductibles. Might as well take advantage of it. There is no point in letting it sit there for deterioration purpose. Let's say that the page that is staring at you is causing you a design freeze. That you do not know how to tackle the page because you're stuck with ideas. The first thing that I would suggest is make sure that you have a reason why you are sitting at the desk and you're starting to do a design or a drawing or coming up with an idea. That means have a brief, understand why you have the intent of making that drawing, and that is going to alleviate the concerns about making the first mark, because you're going to have an intent, a reason to put down the first mark on the page. Always remember that design is a process. There's going to be many iterations of the design that you're going to be putting down on that page. You're not going to be putting down the final design. The design in itself is going to change in shape or form as it goes through the medium in which it's going to be implemented. You are only creating the initial spirit of the design. If you work in animation, or if you want to work in animation, the biggest thing to keep in mind is that things work through passes. So you do the first pass, you might be able to get the idea down. Then you do a second pass, maybe you fix the camera, and you have a better angle to explain the story moment that you're trying to communicate, or the design that you're trying to communicate. Maybe you need to all of a sudden to do a profile view, a 3/4 view. Put that first mark on the page so that then the second mark is going to come easier, because all of a sudden you start thinking, what does that mark mean? You can start building off of it. And like, is that line that you drew the neck of a character? So your imagination is going to start feeding you information based on the brief that you're familiar with. You can simply put down a shape. Start repeating the shape, a large one, a small one, and a smaller one, and see how those shapes work together. Let your imagination flow and see where you see the character coming out from those three shapes. Where would you put the eyes? Do a sketch on a post-it note, a little thumbnail, a rough sketch on a scratch piece of paper that you have laying around. Once that you have that initial idea, it's going to be easier for you to then go to a larger sheet of paper. You're going to need to go to a larger sheet of paper because you want to take that idea and elaborate on it. And if you are absolutely paralyzed, the simplest thing to do is step away from the desk, either go for a walk, clear your head, let some of the oxygen kind of repopulate those gray cells of yours, open a book, and within 5 minutes of looking at one of your favorite artists, I'm 100% sure that you're going to be energized and ready to start drawing again. Because after all, you love what you're doing, and it's just absolutely fun. So you want to do the work that you're doing. To recap, don't be afraid of that blank sheet of paper. It's only an inanimate object on which you're supposed to have fun. Just pick up any tool that you want, put a mark on the side. It's no longer a blank paper that is so scary because it's damaged, and you can only make that piece of paper better putting your creativity on it. I hope these tips are helpful to you during your creative process. Let me know in the comments below. That way I know that I should make more of these type of videos. And in the meantime, stay curious, keep learning, and keep on creating.